I'm Carmiece and I practice family law in the Washington, D.C. area.
One of the questions we have to think about, like say if you're married and you're dealing with your house and you own it together, the question is, well, we have an asset that we need to deal with. Sunset, they just abandoned me and come back, they've been gone, they've been gone. They've been gone, they ain't seen nobody, so I guess it's over. Like this, man, you just can't leave. Not true. Okay, that's what they call me. Are there people throughout history that despite whatever circumstances, they did what they wanted to do?
Hello and welcome to my show. It's Carmiece. It's Wednesdays. It's 11 o'clock. It's time to take that coffee break. I know you just got there, but I know how it goes. You get in. It took a lot to get to work. It took a lot to wake up. It took a lot to go ahead and get yourself together, get all the kids, the family organized, and you got to your desk. You got there on time. You turned it on. You know what you got to do? Coffee break time. You are tuned in to my weekly show. If you don't know me, I am attorney Carmiece Graves. I practice family law, bankruptcy, and estate planning in the Washington and D.C. area. And I decided on Wednesdays that I am going to come to you and kind of share some nuggets, some pearls of wisdom, things that I have learned along the way that I think hopefully can be of use to you so that we can grow together as a community, that we can learn and grow from each other's mistakes. I can give you some tips, make sure that you are more informed so you can make important decisions that can really help you along the way. So, but before I get into all that, one of the things I like to do is I like to just live in the world, be in the world, and do what I got to do, and, just talk about what's going on. So there, I was talking to one of my colleagues and this comment came up, and you guys know I'm a little bit delayed because I do have to unplug from social media to make sure that I'm able to maintain the emotional well-being I need to offer great service to my clients and myself. The best me has to show up. So sometimes I got unplugged, so I could be a little late. But this comment was really provocative. Kamala Harris said that America isn't a racist country. Now, the fact that comment has stirred up so much says, I think, a lot. I think it says all that we need to say. But then also, too, I'm like, look, sister girl, it's hard being, the VP. Everything that you say is a soundbite. If you read the whole comment, she said, look, there's history, there's issues here that we can't ignore, but I don't think that America is a racist country. Now, I don't really know exactly what that statement means. I don't really know it. We're talking about people in America. I agree. I don't think the country can be racist itself. That would be the land. But the residents and citizens can have some, racist views. I think all of America is not a racist place, obviously, else you probably wouldn't be in office. So I think, it's, obvious what she maybe the comment really is about. Like, not everyone in America obviously holds racist views. Some do. And there's been a lot of history to support the fact that, yeah, we've got some racism at the core of the founding of this country. So you can't dispute that. So I don't know. I think, it was soundbitey. People really enjoyed the soundbite there and putting that together with Tim Scott. So when you're a big time like that, anything you say is a headline. I knew it was something about it. I didn't trust it. And I was like, I don't believe she really would have said it like that, y'all. So I had to go and do my own ground truthing because I knew for sensational news, somebody has chopped up something, someone has said something, and I'm sure with the whole picture, it would make more sense. And I think it's the obvious right now that race relations in America is something still on the mend. I don't know, though. I think there's some people that hold their views and they're quite fine with them. I don't know. I think this might be more about making sure that the impacts of those views do not disproportionately impact others. Hold the views that you have, but let that not interrupt opportunity. Let that not interrupt people's, liberties and freedoms and safety and things like that. Think what you want, You know what I mean? Just stay over there with it, you know? Maybe that would be, ground zero for us here, really. I think that would be a step up. I mean, it's not all the way where we want to be, but we gotta, eat this element bite by bite, bite by bite. So today's topic, when we get into the nuts and bolts of it, I want to revisit this idea of prenuptial agreements and antenuptial agreements because it comes up. It's a little touchy. It's a little, but what I see on the back end sometimes with divorces, I figured let's just have the information out there and you can decide for yourself. But at least you're more informed and you can make a conscious decision about what may happen on the back end so that if that does happen, you went in knowingly, right? I think that's fair, okay? But let's get to my other topic that piqued my interest. So I've been listening to the news like everybody else, and there was an event recently where I was in the presence of a marketing well-known guy, and he used the word China virus, and it really kind of like it perked folks' ears up. Like, whoa, I thought you're not supposed to really say that. And he doubled down on it. Homeboy was like, China virus, China virus. I'm like, okay, we understand the bedrock and the source of that kind of ideology. So it was a little off-putting, like, okay, so because that is, stoking, people believe that's the source of, negative views and hatred towards, Asian Americans, Asians in America, whether you're Asian American or not, and that's a problem. So, and I completely agree. Now, what I'm finding on the other end that to me, it's just like a you know what I mean? It's a what do y'all think? I mean, it's tickled my ear that I'm listening to very liberal news outlets, okay, very liberal news outlets, and I hear this South African variant being tossed back and forth all over the place. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why is it, why did we clean up China virus and make that, COVID-19, its technical term? So why is this South African variant terminology being able to be used when it has its own name? I think it's like the B112 variant. Why don't we just keep it technical? And why are the so-called liberal folks allowing this to happen? China virus was a problem. South African variant should be a problem too. I'm just saying. I just think, okay, let's keep it fair and balanced and make sure you're not doing anything that causes any additional hate and bias towards people from South Africa. So, I didn't even check to see what Trevor Noah said about this, if anything at all. I haven't been watching as frequently and readily as I used to. So maybe he has said something about this. He's from South Africa. I wonder if it bothered him at all. So anyway, that was just a little thing that I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of, to me, I think in our country, the politics, people's political affiliations, it doesn't always align with this prejudice and whether they're racist or not. There's liberal racists, there's, conservative racists, there's people that, are non-racist on both sides. It does not really go just along blue and red. So sometimes liberals think they're beyond it, and it's like, maybe not, because we're human beings doing the best we can to come together and appreciate differences and understand that differences sometimes are challenging, but they're beneficial. They're beneficial for us to grow and expand. And I think it's part of our journey here to embrace difference and not really shun it or devalue it in any way because it is just maybe foreign, right? So anyway, that's my little news update. All right, so let's get into it because I'm going to just be in and out of here today. Let's get right to it. So now let me tell you the reason why this topic is coming up. The reason why this topic is even coming up is because when I'm dealing with marital property, right? When I'm dealing with, hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second. Okay, I want to try something. Oh, let's see if this works. I don't know what this is doing. Oh, okay. I wonder what's happening here. I wonder if I can see myself do this. I think there's a delay. Oh, okay, good, good, good. Okay, I switched over so that I can watch the show being streamed on Facebook. It has a bit of delay so that I can see any comments. So this is a little weird. So anyway, it's working. I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage this because I literally am watching myself back and forth at the same time. So this may be very distracting and not a good idea. But I did try a thing. So anyway, let me see. Can I go back to the stream? Yeah, I'm back to this one, guys. I can't do that one. That was so weird. As I was transmitting it, like it was like really, I can't do it. Anyway, so prenuptial agreements, antenuptial agreements. The reason why I am bringing up this topic is because when we're dealing with marital property, the prenuptial and antenuptial agreement, the first analysis is, do you care? You know what I mean? Some people are very attached to the wealth that they have built in the property that they have amassed. Maybe it's a part of a state plan. Maybe it's about, funding education for their kids in the future. Maybe there's just a plan regarding the assets that you want to not have be interrupted by a divorce. That is just where the conversation is. You don't ever have to worry really about inheritance coming in. If you have property that is being inherited and, bequests or conveyed along the inheritance lines, that's going to skirt through marital property, but you have to make sure you don't convert it in any way. So it can get a little tricky. But if the first question here is, do you care? Like you could be like Kelsey Grammer. You guys, like Frazier, I want to always be like Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer got so much money that when it came down to his divorce, he just was like, I'll give you 50 million. We call it, what it is. There's no need to fight. He got enough money. He had enough money that he's never concerned about the money. If you're a person that's not concerned about the money, then you don't need a prenup. But if you feel like, you know what I mean? That's you. It's you and your comfort level, because what can happen, and these are the real everyday assets that get attached through marriage that I need for you to know about. Modern day uses of them, right? So you will have like your 401k. That's a big one. So when you started on your journey, maybe you're getting married later in life, 40s, you've been working for 20 years for the federal government, you have done a good job of putting that nest egg aside. Once that part that you have acquired along the way, that's yours. You don't really have to worry about that. That part is yours, because this is the idea that money that you acquire, or property or assets that you acquire during the course of the marriage, become marital property. The purpose of a prenuptial agreement is to say, excluding these assets and these assets, that's fine. Or no, I want to change those rules. Let's have it be that we both can acquire property on our own, and then we can decide when we go and buy property together, like obviously like a house. If you're going to go and be married, everybody's on the house. But like, say this, here's one. What if you, definitely being the breadwinner, you come into the marriage and you own a house, or you've started to pay the mortgage back on a house, let's say it properly, because people think, oh, I owned it before I got married. No, you don't own it until you got the deed free and clear. Really, the bank owns it, and and you're paying off that loan, right? Because the bank actually wrote the check for the house. You didn't write that. You wrote a little check. That was your down. That was the down payment. You didn't write the check. The house was, $500,000. I don't know. Would you come to the table with 50,000? That would be impressive, but maybe even not. Maybe you came with 10 or 5. The bank wrote most of that check, and that's why they have a lien on the property, and you got to pay them that mortgage. So here's where it can get interesting. When you get married, if you don't have a prenup and an or you don't later sign an antenuptial agreement, what will happen is all of the money that you then use from your regular, only thing that changes, you was going to work, paying the mortgage, going to work, paying a mortgage. Got married, went to the same job, paid the same mortgage. The difference is now that you're married, that income is our money. So you use our money that you went and made. You made our money and you use our money to pay down that mortgage. So that's our You see how this goes? So you now went to work for us because we are one economic union and use our money to pay down that mortgage. Well, that being the case, that means all the appreciation that the property gains during the course of the marriage, that part is marital property. Now, the same thing happens with the 401k. Remember an example, we can run it back, before you was married, you go into the same government job every day. Your check said, go ahead, take out whatever percentage of my money, put that in my 401, whatever the TSP is for the federal government. It's equivalent to the 401k, right? If you're a teacher, the 403b, whatever the title is, it's the same, investment vehicle, right? Those are just different IRS rules, right? Based on the, okay, let me not go there. Anyway, so you went to work, check says, pay the percentage, put that in my 40 whatever. Now you get married, our money now is our money that you put into the 401k. You need to know that so that if and when, and I don't wish this upon you, but it does seem to be a very regular occurrence because human beings do a lot of growing and changing and sometimes don't have, haven't figured out who a good mate would be, or things just ain't go the way you thought. We don't have crystal balls. Nobody has a crystal ball. So now what's happened, we're in divorce and it's, 20 years later, 15 years later, 10 years later, and that big asset minus the part that you had before you got married is marital property. And a lot of times people really feel sick and queasy to their stomach with this idea that their retirement, now they're going to have to split it and they don't even have the benefit of the rest of the marriage. That's if you have the attachment to the money. Some people say, hey, and I really think it is the true way to be about money. So is that money's currency. Money, you can bring that money in, okay? That money left out of there. Let's do some financial planning. Let's do some financial planning to figure out what we need to do and come up with a new strategy to get you together for retirement. Let's fill the gap because sometimes for relationships, you're going to have to pay to get out of them. You're going to have to buy your freedom. You're going to have to buy it. And I do think, most times it's pretty well worth it because if you don't come up with the financial plan for you to be happy, to enjoy your life, you could end up sick. You know what I mean? And then you have your money, you know what I mean? But you're not happy in the relationship. You're not getting the intimacy, love, and joy. It's toxic. It's a blower. It's not fun. You know what I mean? Then that really causes ripple effects, stress, worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, who knows, strokes. Then it gets physical with the strokes. It just ripples in really not good ways. So definitely that is all the freedom. The path to freedom is the one we got to go. We got to go to the path of freedom. If you've done everything that you think you can do, you've gone to the counseling, I don't want you to judge yourself for being a human being that grows and changes and made mistakes and need, some freedom and reprieve. That's your entitlement as a human being. Divorce been around since when? I need to come. Is it in the Bible? Because I think everything in there. So I don't know. You can tell me, but it goes back far, far, far. Because it's always, it's a thing. Unless what I was suspecting. I'm gonna look this up. I think where there's not divorce, there's polygamy. I think so, y'all, because men probably be like this. I don't need a divorce. So I'll just get another one and another one and another one and another one. So it's probably where they don't really allow polygamy. Probably divorce is there to allow someone to move forward and have another spouse. And I'm sure it's, so anyway, I was thinking about that. So that's what I would say. So here's the mindset, but you can really kind of not, But as long as you know that's how that calculation is done, you can go in knowingly and say, hey, this is the person I love. I'm really confident about this. And if anything were to change, I'm good. I just don't want you to get there and then completely be blindsided by it, and devastated by it. Because one of the things is, and this is a tough one, like when you're dealing with relationships and, marriage versus divorce, one of the things that the law, I feel, holds against you, is time. It does not, time passing in the status of marriage accumulates a lot of, entitlements. The longer you're in the posture, the more permanent it becomes. So if and sometimes I've had clients that they say, okay, well, I know this thing was, the marriage was not working, but I wanted to stay, a unit until my kids went off to school. So for the last 14 years, we haven't been standing each other out of a 30 whatever year marriage. Well, time really does hurt you in that scenario. It's a brutal fact of the law. It's one of the most gangster rules I realized about it. It was like, look, if you know this is not working out, you better make a decision. You better, because if you parlay, you are definitely going to have more that you have to share in terms of assets. And as long as you know that, you can say, I don't care. You know what I mean? Just make the decision. Like me, personally, I think I'm fine. I think I'd be okay. I don't think, if you ask me personally right now, I don't know if I blocked the bar, y'all might be like, no. But I think, the way I view wealth and the way I view accumulating money, I think it's more of an energy thing for me. One of the things I think you want to think about is if you have businesses, so the assets, so you can draft a prenuptial agreement. And if you're already married, I didn't go through what the term antenuptial is and why that's in there, because I didn't know what that was until I became an attorney, a practicing attorney. So the antenuptial, kind of ante after, right, is the agreements, like pre before, ante's after, and the nuptial is the marriage. That's how those words are designed. So the antenuptial is after you've taken your nuptials, you can go and still do the agreement, and you can, and I think it's even stronger, and there's no time limit, that doesn't expire. So you can always do that. And a lot of times people do antenuptial agreements when they enter into a business partnership, because they don't want their partners don't want their business to be tangled up in a divorce. I think that's a great tip right there, guys. Okay, that's a great savvy tip, that if you are going to be going off and doing business ventures and your partners are married, I would want an antenuptial agreement just for the business. Because what would happen, so let me tell you what would happen if you didn't have it, right? So you guys are in an LLC together, right? Say there's just the two of you, to make it simple for the example, and you own 50% of the LLC's interest, and everything's going along well. You guys, spotted it, right time, right place. You was ready for your opportunity. Things are going very well, and the company's making money. Now, partner A, marriage is on the rocks. Partner A and B, you guys, no prenuptial agreements, right? There's nothing in the operating agreement about it, and I don't think the operating agreement could speak to it. I don't really know the answer to that, but in this example, there's no written terms that excludes or has something that speaks to the marital portion that's secretly accumulating along the way, because it's quiet. The wife don't have to be like, hey, y'all got my part. The spouse is not coming to the board meetings like, okay, this is the quarterly. How are we doing? No, they're a silent partner. Everybody's spouse is a silent partner in the business unless there's an agreement saying otherwise. Why? Because again, you're married and everything you do in that business is now marital property, because you are, doing that for us. You're doing that for the family. You're doing that for, the marriage, right? That's what that means. So in this example, partner goes through a divorce and this business is a substantial asset. This is like, the dentistry. I mean, this is a big asset. It's the only job, that this person has, and it's been the main source of their income. And that's where a lot of the money is. So what happens in a divorce is that asset is in. So there's going to be people coming into your business, doing evaluation of your business, opening up your books, got people looking at your stuff. Maybe you don't want folks in your books like that. I mean, most people don't want people in their financials, like, I don't even have anything to do with you and your wife. Why is she coming into our business looking at our stuff? It's because these spouses are secret silent partners. And if and when, I'm not going to say when, if they should get a divorce, that is when that asset has to be evaluated by professionals. And, then what could happen too, the spouse, I don't know how they will settle it, but once it's assessed that it's a marital asset, evaluation is done as to how much it's worth, then the wife's or the other spouse's portion, the husband's or whomever's portion is assessed. Then what you have there is, okay, you're either going to have to buy that spouse out. So like say in this example, for simplicity's sake, say that the equity in the business, meaning that you have more assets versus liabilities in your business is worth $200,000. So $100,000 each for each of the partners. Now, one partner's portion is in divorce. That partner has to split their portion 50-50 between the spouse, 50%. So that entity, that interest is split. Now, if that partner wants to keep that interest, it has to buy it back from the wife. The wife or the other spouse, whomever, can then either be like, well, if you don't have my money, I'm in. I am coming to the meetings. And you do need to start cutting me my check. The financial calculations, they can say, oh, you don't have the buyout money? Well, when you get that dividend, make sure you run me my half. Usually that, you don't want to do that. So you could be forced to buy out your spouse. Now, you may trade other assets, equity in the house, but you got to know this is how that goes. So I think when it comes to having a business that you have other partners, they don't need to go through that. Nobody wants to be in business with your spouse. Okay, they don't want the business in the midst of a divorce. I think I would have it be a requirement before I become entangled in an LLC and I'm not the sole member. That's just me. So, but when it comes to the regular day stuff, I'm fine. But then that's just, you have other folks involved. You have to think about, the impact on the business venture, being distracted by divorce. And, you don't want your business in the crossfire of your other partner's personal stuff. Okay. So I do think in that instance, and it can be done, you have to check, I'm in Maryland, DC, you do an antenuptial agreement. So you have to see wherever you are, if you're not in my local area, whether antenuptial agreements are accepted. But I think generally they are, but states make up those rules. Okay. Those are state specific rules. So each state gets to modify them, change them, and do what they think is best for the borders. So that is that. So that's what I had on that today, guys. I think I'll leave it there. I think I want to go over, I was thinking, well, this week, and this is all about estate planning. Know that prenuptial agreements and antenuptial agreements, while they relate to marriage, they are a part of the big estate planning wheelhouse, okay? It's one of the things you do to protect assets from marriage. It's just, it's a specific estate planning document. And that's what it's done. And that's what it's designed to do. So hopefully that will give you, some insight there. If you have questions and you need to reach me, I'm always available. Y'all know I love this little scrolling thing. So anywho, thanks so much. I hope you guys are staying safe, that you guys are enjoying the weather as we are really here. The infamous summer is here. And I hope you do something fun, get outside, and still practice social distancing. We don't know if it looks like the vaccine is holding, the numbers are going down, but we still have to wear masks. I don't know. I'm a little confused, so I'm still going to just keep my distance, okay? All right, guys, until next week, thanks so much for tuning in. Coffee with Carmiece. If you need me, feel free to contact me. I'm here to answer any of your questions. Thanks so much. I'm Carmiece Graves, and I practice family law in the Washington, D.C. area.
One of the questions we have to think about, like say if you're married and you're dealing with your house and you own it together, the question is, well, we have an asset that we need to deal with. Sunset, they just abandoned me and come back, they've been gone, they've been gone. They've been gone, they ain't seen nobody, so I guess it's over. Like this, man, you just can't leave. Not true. Okay, that's what they call me. Are there people throughout history that despite whatever circumstances, they did what they wanted to do?